Hi, and welcome to the next part of the restoration project of my Honda CB750. So this is the tank, and I wasn't planning on doing this tank, but I was forced to because, well, it was rusty underneath. You can see the brazing marks underneath. A previous video we'd covered the brazing and the stripping of the tank. There's a few dents, bit of damage and a few dings here and there, so I'll take this opportunity to fill them as well. So all the paint had to come off and it was brazed, and the tank was also leaking, so we've had it lined with an epoxy. You'll see that in a bit with especially when I'm trying to sand around the filler cap. There's a bit of leaked epoxy on there. I'll try to take that off with a knife or something. Just sort of sanding back the oxidization, bringing the metal back up to brightness, and the obvious dings I've already filled, and then I'll proceed and fill out the more of the dents and keep going and put layers of paint on, like primer, and then sort of colour match the rest of the bike. Well, I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so I've used P38 filler and done the dings that were all over the tank, and then the sides and the edges. And I've got this anti-rust paint which prevents rust, so I'll give the tank a good coat with that, especially special attention to the underneath where it rusted before. You can see the anti-rust paint reacting with the rust and turning black. More fine tuning with the CB750 filler. See the dots along the bottom of the tank where it is brazed. So how black the under the side of the tank has gone with that reaction with the rust and the anti-rust paint. Important to get the edges done, because the lines of the tank won't be quite right if the edges aren't done right. Now for a bit of stone chip underneath the tank. This will give it extra added protection, and also the paint's quite thick, so it will try to blend out any of the brazing, which I'm not keen on sanding. Here I was advised to put some epoxy around the edge of the tank so there was no leakage of fuel underneath the spray paint. And now the first coat of primer. This will reveal any bits that I may have missed and make it easier to spot. And with that nice coat of primer, it will be a lot easier to see any imperfections, and then I can address those and then we can carry on. So now a bit of wet and dry, flatten out that primer so it's not raised high, so when the metallic paint goes on it won't be rough. Yeah, I'm using 3000 grit wet and dry paper. Now to give the tank a rinse, get rid of all that powder. Now dry it off and then check for any imperfections. I'm using chalk so it's easier for me to see them. At the bottom of the tank you can see some spot welding. Obviously that would have been a manufacturer's issue, and I'm just going to tidy it up since I'm using some fine filler.
turn off the lights?
Maybe they blew a fuse.
I don't think so, man. Those lights are off on purpose.
Okay, we gotta figure out something to keep the lights in fast. Okay, I got it.
Go after another sand, give it another rinse, get rid of all that powder. Do another smooth down before another layer of paint. Third rinse to make sure there's no powder on it. Give it a nice dry. Give it a good check. Bit of excess in there. Another coat of primer. Hopefully there'll be no imperfections this time. Right, we are left with a bit of imperfections, so I've opted to use a bit of spray filler just to fill out any sort of sand marks or sort of minor scratches. So known as a high build primer. So I smoothed it out off camera, and now I'm going back to the grey primer. Now the underneath, don't want any overspray.
Hey, why'd they turn off the lights?
Maybe they blew a fuse.
I don't think so, man. Those lights are off on purpose.
Okay, we gotta figure out something to keep the lights in fast.
Going back over with the chalk, any imperfections, marking them up, then I can deal with them. in the wet and dry, because the electric sander would be too harsh. Smoothing it back off with the wet and dry. Added a bit of washing up liquid and it makes it a lot smoother. Okay, for the fourth rinse, get rid of all that powder from the fine sanding. It's looking a lot shinier. Once dried, now we can actually apply some paint. I've put the code in the description. It's as close as a match as possible to get to the rest of the bike. But since I'm respraying the rest of the bike, I'm just using the same colour for the whole thing. I wasn't going to do the bottom, but I thought I might as well cover up the stone chip, but I haven't detailed it or sanded it too much. Also, I was going to include putting the decals on, but I shan't be doing that because the decals I had made were a bit thick and they won't go on with the curves, so that'll be another video. So here I'm just smoothing off the metallic paint before we put some petrol resistant lacquer on. This is the petrol resistant lacquer. When I put the decals on, I'll put another coat of that on as well.